me.
Where have my boys gone? The camera's not working. There we go.
Oh,
There we are. Woo.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Behind the Sticks. We're back, another episode. On the weekend we had CEO and we're here to round it up for you guys. Hope you're all doing well in chat. How are you two doing this fine day?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just been playing a bit of rank. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been fitting in what I can. You know, maybe the lunch break during work, maybe flipping other times. But I've been having a good time. Things been going good. Challenge has been whipping me though, but we're figuring that out a bit like that.
Slowly.
yeah, I'm doing alright. I'm figuring stuff out. It's been a bit of a rough road, but today feels, after discussing it with a bunch of people, I'm feeling like I'm beginning to make some headway. So I'm just gonna write it out and see what we get. But I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it.
Well,
We're
thank you,
learning.
Sam.
You know what I mean? It's a path of discovery right now. Early days, we're all learning the game still. I've definitely learned a lot from last episode. I can't lie. My opinions have changed a lot from last episode, bro.
CEO be changing opinions rapid
CEO
fire.
be flipping my shit. So right, we had CEO this weekend. We will predominantly probably cover the top 8 portion, like that very end where we hit the final stretch. So top 8 character presentation. I assume we should talk about it first. I actually have a graph of the characters that showed up. I will get that up really quick. But Sully, just start us off with the beginnings of CEO.
Start off with the beginning of CEO. So before we get to that graphic, I was thinking like, obviously CEO was like the first one in the new in Street Fighter 6. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but there was a wee bit of a discourse happening with CEO at the start, where it was about the commentators. It wasn't necessarily for Street Fighter, but it was for Tekken.
Yes.
And I think it was Rip in general who was like, basically what it was is that there was a lot of new faces for commentary, but so some of your legacy guys like Rip wasn't selected. Now usually when you don't get selected for like a job, you're meant to just be like, dag nabbit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think what ended up happening was Rip kind of took to Twitter and started kind of like throwing out the odd wee insult here and there, and it was very much like, it was very off the mind of like, very sarcastic, passive aggressive tweets and line of like, these guys don't know anything about Tekken. They didn't ask me. I'd be doing much better than these guys. And as a result, he became like, those of us who are on Tekken Twitter were quite active on that, but we can see what's going on in the other world. We're like the Squidward meme, just appearing on what's happening on everyone's ongoings. But he was like, he was getting kind of dragged. It was one of those things, because it makes me think of like a time. Do you guys remember during the online era where like Logan and F-Word had that beginning talk show, and they would talk about players and they would interview with them just before the online CPTs and whatnot? I'm not sure if you guys remember. I think it might have been 2020.
Yeah, I think I remember that one. Yeah.
And exactly, and they were getting such good feedback, and they were like, everyone saying this is awesome, this is good, and so you thought they were going to do it again next year, but Capcom said nah.
They weren't brought back.
Yeah, they gave it to Brian F and Rob TV.
Yeah,
and like, so that's way more like deep than like the Rip thing, right? But Logan and F-Word, they handled it very classy. They're like, hey guys, we're not doing it. Capcom's going in a different direction in it. You can tell he was like, obviously he was still a bit like, he would have been pissed.
Yeah,
I'd be tight about it, but
professionally.
Exactly. He kept his composure professionally. I'm mixing up my words. And then you look at Rip, he's just cussing guys out on the TL. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's it, man.
Yeah,
I feel bad. Sorry, I hate to cut in, but like I feel bad for him, like as in Rip in one way, because like you feel like, well, I've got so much experience and they're not picking me, and why are they not choosing me? What have I done wrong? And you have all these like spiraling thoughts, and I feel bad for him. But the other side of the coin is it comes from a position of like supreme entitlement.
Yeah.
And you've really got to try and nip that in the bud, because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, your job is hard. It's hard to commentate. It's hard to be a good commentator. Hard to be a good commentator. But other people can't do it. So
Exactly.
at the end of the day, if you lose out in a position, everybody will lose out at some point, and it just happens. You just got to deal with it. But he took to Twitter and unfortunately acted quite unprofessional, and it was funny, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
it was rough to watch.
To quote C5 there, he was indeed getting his ass beat in the court retweets.
But I feel like it's an expectancy as well, because I feel like the commentary space, like there's only so many things you can like interject a set with, right? Like I love Yipes, but I remember someone tweeted this yesterday, like, we know Yipes is the GOAT because all he did in the grand finals was make Blanca noises for that entire last set. It's like, you're not adding anything to like that match realistically, but it's nice because Yipes is there. But like, I feel like commentary spaces in general, like, it's very difficult to break into, and I much prefer newer guys getting a chance, just so it's like, it flares up the comms a little bit, man. Especially for Tekken as well, because the Tekken events that I've watched, they have a massive amount of like analytical commentators, but not color commentators, like Yipes and the sort.
We've spoke about this before, Boggins, at length, to be honest with you, about different commentary styles and commentators themselves. And I always find that my favourite combination is you have someone who's very analytical, someone who knows the game inside and out, and they're talking about situations and positional advantages and all sorts. And then you have a color commentator, who's just personality. They're brilliant. They don't even know the game as well, but you just love hearing them. And that combination is golden.
It's fantastic.
And that is a problem with Tekken, is you do tend to find that a lot of them are quite analytical.
Very analytical.
It still works, but it's not my kind of flavor. So spicing up a bit is not a problem in my mind.
And it's a perfect time to bring up the fact that I really like that we're not stagnating with commentary, because I do not want another 10 years of James Chen commentating again.
Do you know what, bro? He's a legend. He's been around forever. He's fucking... I don't even know what age he is. He's immortal at this point.
Yeah.
But he's my least favorite commentator.
Not very.
I'm sorry. He's my least favorite.
Yeah, because I think Tekken is blessed with like analytical commentators that are good at the game. Because Ripper's a good Tekken player, right? And he knows the game inside and out. But I feel like for Street Fighter, we let a couple slip through the cracks, bro, who aren't that good. But
listen, one that like has me seething every time he's on. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but whenever they let Zeep commentate, I'm like my viewing experience is ruined.
I don't think I've watched a match of him commentating for a long time. I can't listen to him.
He always just says like random things that have no like that don't pertain to the match. Or he'll be like, "Okay, Daigo here, coming in like Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet."
That's what it is.
What are you talking about, bro?
It's very much just pop culture reference on it.
Yes.
It's why I was so angry when like also we're trailing off into like commenting.
Yeah, sorry, we're trying off here. I just wanted to moan, bro.
But we're here. But it was when it was Red Bull Kumite and like Logan got snubbed and then in place for Zeep. So we had to like sit there and just listen to, and then he's serving with like there's no commentary about the game. It's just jokes after jokes, and I'm just like
And this is the problem with his style, because we were talking about analytical styles and color commentators. I don't think he fits either.
No, he's not either.
Like
no.
he's such a unique style. Like I'll give him that. Like his delivery for me is not for me at all. It ruins my experience, right? But he's got a style that for some reason certain people love. It's really different to any other sort of commentary style I've ever heard. Because I don't find that he's such a personality that I'm like, oh, dude, like, yipes, I love hearing him talk. Or like a Jammer's analytical, where you're like, damn, this guy knows his shit.
Yeah.
He's neither. So I just don't.
He's probably a fantastic commentator if you like don't participate in the game very much and you don't really know about the goings on it, because you'd be like, I know Thanos, bro, I know Marvel, I know that reference. But if you play the game a little bit and you're probably like, oh man, I wish you'd just talk about the game, bro, please.
It's like Goku in the Majin Buu saga, very strong, but not strong enough. And you're like, stop talking, stop fucking talking, please.
Man.
I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember when James Chen used to actually? I think this started around about 2018.
Yeah.
But he would just offer to commentate people's locals.
Did he? No,
he commentated on Aberdeen local.
It was recent Aberdeen. He commentated for that. Yeah. I think you were there, weren't you? As well?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my days. Yeah, he used to like. I think when I was you just paid him $40 and he would just like rewatch. He would restream your locals and then like
people were like, "It's gonna be so sick. We're gonna get so much exposure." Nothing came of it.
I mean, like I heard. Like the recent guys made the money back somehow because people kept because he'll restream it, right? And then he did this really cool thing that during the restream, if whatever donations he got on that stream, he gave to the guys who straight to the locals.
Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, that's good of him.
So we're like, I mean, like I may not be the most thrilled when he's on commentary, but you know what? He's gonna have a place in our heart.
He's a gem. As a human being, I imagine he's a gem.
Yeah.
He seems like the friendliest guy ever, but just on comms is just not my thing at all. Saying in the chat as well, Jammers has got to be like top 3 for me. I know we're going off on a track again, but I love Jammers' commentary. He's brilliant.
Yeah, Jammers was during Street Fighter 5's era, like him and F Word. I think they were like pound for pound the best analytical commentators we had. F Word was really good at explaining situations, and I'm wondering who's going to prop up in 6 as kind of like the de facto like I'm the best analytical commentator we have for 6.
No,
it's
like us, bro, us.
I'm trying to think when it comes to commentary. Like it's like Callum said, it's a hard thing to break into. I think you have to go in with the intention of just being like, all right, let me just try and commentate all these matches, and I think color commentary is one of the hardest ones because you need to be naturally like funny off the cuff.
Yeah.
Like you need to be talk show funny. You can't be stand up funny.
No.
It's one of those
There'll be
things.
guys that I hear your voice and I'm already like, it's gotta be funny. But like, just one of those.
It's one of those
away.
things
It's
where, like,
hard.
if you feel like you're putting on a persona when you're on the mic, everyone who's listening also is like, bro, he's putting this on so hard, and it's like you can tell, man.
I think like the newest like whatchamacallit, color commentary I can think of is probably Saint Cola. I think I heard too much of him because he was too much on like Salt Mine, and I think it's just like it got to a point where like I think he's good. I think he's definitely one of the better commentators out there. But at the same time, it's like I feel like this guy just gets excited at everything.
Do you know what? It's the same reason that I don't vibe so hard with Tasty Steve. Is my hot take.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
Because like again, he's just everything is like and you're like, all right, come on, he takes the throw. Like,
Guys like what? And it's like, bro, he just threw him, bro.
and the other thing as well is he says the same phrases constantly, and that like Yipes, everything's like off the tongue, everything's just kind of like, and it's funny. Whereas he just has a list of set phrases that he'll go through,
Yeah.
and you're like, right, I've heard this a million times now because I hear you in every Tekken stream. Like,
Yeah, Yipes is so hard to replicate because I feel like when Yipes says funny stuff, you think he's just got like a bunch of like funny material and funny thoughts.
Yes.
He's just really quick-witted.
It's just funny observational.
There was a point in the CEO top 8 where Logan said something like, "We're at the beach here, doesn't look like Daytona at all," and like Yipes straight away off the cuff went, "Bro, yeah, no diversity in Daytona," or something like that. And I was like, "That's funny, bro."
but you know what? I think it was the way he delivered it as well. Because I think someone else said that, you'd have been like, "Oh shit!" But
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
the way he said it
exactly,
was
yeah.
hilarious.
Because he trailed off. He's like, yeah, there's
No
more,
diversity.
bit more diversity.
It's so funny.
So good.
Oh man.
Oh.
Right, we'll get back on track.
Yeah, we'll get back on track.
We'll
We'll
get back on track. innit?
So-
So back on CEO again. This is a CEO related story, and you guys see that video of that guy who just lost the match towards.
Yes, bro. If I can find the video, I can bring it up for everyone who hasn't seen it. Let me see if I can dig it up. Hold on. Let me see. If I
That
can dig it
guy, by the way, like, he had a snack box and he spiked it.
up.
You know
Yeah.
how expensive that shit is? I was like,
Bro,
I'm a working man that pays bills now. That gave me a heart attack. I was like, I can't believe you've done that.
Okay.
Bro,
just-
we turned it into Terry Crews, man. We're like, oh man, that was something. That was.
I found it just for the
$200.
fellas who haven't seen it yet. So, like, there's a little bit of a scene. Like, this kid's only 16. Obviously, he must have been in a bad place when it happened. But, like, I'm still gonna say this shit was funny, bro. I can't lie. It was still. He chucked it and then he walks off.
He walks off, yeah.
And then he comes back through it, bro, and he's raring to go, and everyone has to hold him back.
So
The freeze frame photo that everyone's using of this is so funny.
It's so, bro.
It's rough, right? But because I ended up reading, like, he posted a big note explaining his actions at the time,
So-
and he wrote he wrote a lot, and to his defense, he was very articulate for a 16-year-old. If I was 16 and that happened to me, I'd have just been cussing people out and just be salty about it. But he understood what was wrong. He cited that he was on the spectrum and he was having issues with anxiety and whatnot. So it does provide a bit of context into this stuff.
Yeah, a bit of
And
context.
what that does for what this should kind of serve as a warning for a lot of people. When you go to these tournaments, it's not just a bunch of dudes just playing video games. You know what I mean? Like, you could if you have like a really bad interaction, you could easily end up being Twitter's main character for the week.
It's why it's a lesson that a lot of people have had to learn, and it's like even myself, and I guarantee everyone. Like, there's maybe a few exceptions, but everyone's had a close call where you're like, this could go one way or the other if I explode or I have exploded, and it's like, fuck, this could go bad for me. And you've got to learn that straight away, that there's social etiquette, there's rules, and the other thing as well, not even talking about games at this point. You just don't do certain things. You just
Yeah.
don't.
I
And
was
that's
literally
one of them.
about to bring it up. The very first interaction I had at an offline tournament, I went to one of my first majors in 2018 or 2019. I think it was 2018. MQS in the chat squared up to me at 2018, bro, at that first major, and I was like, I'm not ready for this, bro. I can't scrap it.
What?
It was a silly reason, but yeah, like, you gotta be ready. Like, one bad interaction, you gotta remember that some people they'll flip, bro. Like,
You gotta remember, we're here to play games, and it's like obviously there's some people there that's just like, you know what I mean?
The other thing as well is that people, because I never started playing. I'm not going to go ranting, but I never started playing fighting games to make pals. My whole intent was like, I want to get better, I want to train, I want to win and all this shit. But naturally, over time, you begin to realize it's massively social as well as it is competition and just like solo training and all this shit. And when you're faced with that sort of adversity, when you stay like sort of classy and you stay professional and you stay cool, that's also remembered.
Yeah,
There's a lot of times where things have went wrong and people have went, nah, he acted well, and you remember that shit. And the other thing is, everyone remembers when you go fucking mental. Everyone remembers.
Listen. Like Will Smith taught us this lesson. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, fuck
Just
it,
because you successfely punked the guy does not mean you won the interaction.
You don't want to be known as that guy that everyone's like, oh, we don't really want to hang out with him. He had that one bad moment at like VSF or CEO or whatever. You don't want to be known as the guy that like messed up really bad and then you like lose all rep. Nobody wants to be your mate anymore. It makes the whole like environment feel worse off because no one wants to really participate alongside you in anything.
No, that's it.
No, it's well. But yeah, you conduct yourselves when you're going to majors and tournaments. Remember, like, while we're all there for games, we're all adults at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? And the fighting game community is very tight knit and very connected. So word gets around very quickly. So like, be mindful of your conduct with folk and just like. It's the easiest thing to not fuck up and just go there and just hit your buttons and you'll be alright.
We got 3 rules, chat. Just make sure you clean, make sure you smell good, and don't fight anyone, and we'll be perfect, guys.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah,
the fighting in game, please.
Keep it all in the game. Actually, there was a moment as well. I think Jabali mentioned it, and again, they could have gone the same way. Jabali, there was like a group of guys he was fighting in bracket. And they would cheer him on and that, and Jabali beat him, and he just went like, "Thanks for coming, bro," and just shook his hand after beating him. That's one of the moments where you're like, "You're rolling the dice, bro. He could have took that back."
That is like, I was gonna say, you've just flipped the coin, and you're like, "What's gonna happen?"
It's that fucking Kill Bill siren after he says it's that.
Do you know what though? Yeah, people remember that was happening during lockdown. People were like, "I'm gonna have a charity boxing match." Do you remember seeing posts like that?
I remember.
ISDD was making those posts.
ISDD and Muscle Noob, bro, or ISDD
Jimmy
and Momi.
And Muscle Noob as well, Momi. They were all talking about we're doing like an FGC boxing match, and I was like, "Don't."
FGC boxing match. I would watch it. I would watch it.
I would absolutely watch that, bro. Like main card. What was the French guy that Muscle Noob beefed with? I can't remember his name. Was it Mal
Dominant? Yeah. We had a joke about that because everyone was against that guy for a while, and I was like, it's just going to be a fight card. And it's just going to be Mal Dominant versus everybody on that card.
So he's just going to go through.
It's just progressively getting worse because he's been beat up every single one. So the last one, he's just absolutely fucked up. Like.
If the people at Reversal are watching this still want it, but just make it real life fighting, it'll sell like hotcakes, bro. The pay-per-view will go crazy.
There's going to be some dark horses in that one, bro. Riekman's my dark horse. That guy's jacked. He's strong as shit.
Riekman's strong as shit.
Riekman's got that farmhand strength. So
that's true, bro. He's built like
strong as shit.
Right, let's talk about the bracket though. Enough about the boxing card. Oh man. Okay, so I've got the image of who showed up in the top 8. I'll bring it up now just so we're all caught up. Bada bing, bada boom. Here we go. Thank you to Alpha B for posting this on the timeline for us. So there is a character who appears quite a lot within, I think it's within the top 24 of the brackets, and it's Jury. And there are 6 of her, and I think in the top 32, if you round up just a little bit, there were 8 juries. So you had a lot of representation from Jury in this bracket, and if we watched the top 8, and I'm sure a lot of you guys in chat watched the top 8, there was a period where it was like 5, I believe, games.
It was 5
that included a jury, and I think 2 of those were jury mirrors as well. So there was a very, very long slug of juries in this event. Just to kick it off, what after watching this event, has your opinion of Jury gone up, either of you? Because we put a top 3 last time, but we were very undecided upon who you would put a top 1. Has your opinion changed after watching CEO at all?
Nah, I think this was just the Jury tournament. I think I already knew, I already felt like Ken, Jury, and Luke were kind of interchangeable in terms of their positions as top 3. I think it was recency bias that probably put Ken above. But to be fair, I think they're all interchangeable. I think we could easily have another tournament next time where it's just like a lot of Lukes.
A lot of Lukes.
I think people were saying like, "Oh man, this is like Jury's like the Leroy of our game," and it's like, nah. Like for those who don't play Tekken, like there's an EVO Japan final where like 6 of the top 8 was Leroy.
Yes.
And but like Leroy was by himself. Like he sat at the pinnacle of Tekken.
Yeah.
Whereas like Jury's kind of sharing that with like Luke and Ken and whatnot.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is I'm just looking through the bracket again. I don't think. Well, we had a single Honda in top 32, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
I personally think that if there was more Hondas, we'd see a lot more. Because there was only one. Like, I think if there was a more Honda representation, I think that character's really good against Jury, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But, yeah, it's like you're saying, in top 3 characters we had Ken, Luke, and Jury. I think all of them are interchangeable. I mean, I don't even know which Ken players weren't here. Like, I don't know. Because there's some really strong Ken
Phenom,
players. Some
I
really.
think, was the one.
Phenom got 9th, which
Yeah.
again is great. But there's so many good players of these characters, and we just had a shit ton of Juries.
Mhm.
I think it's still the same. They're all interchangeable.
Yeah, 100%. What about you, Boggins?
Well, for me, I thought Jury was. After over the week, I've had a lot of time to reflect. I've been in the Zen garden. I've been thinking. I personally think the Jury is top 1. Personally, I don't do it on like a feeling thing. I look at matchups. I don't think Jury loses enough matchups to not be top 1 right now, because I think Ken, out of the interchangeable characters that we just mentioned, I think Ken actually has some genuinely bad matchups. Luke is debatable. I'm not too sure about Luke's matchup, so I don't have a full opinion. But Jury, the only character I've heard that she might genuinely wholeheartedly lose to is like Zangief. I think all the Fireball matchups are a complete over-exaggeration. She does not lose to Fireball characters, bro. It's a joke.
Oh, we saw that. We saw that against. Who's it that was fighting Kaba? I'm sure Kaba was fighting one of the Juries.
I think he did. Did he get smoked in the end, or?
I can't remember if he got smoked, but like there was a jury that was. It was nephew, yeah.
Yeah, nephew. You was gonna say nephew.
Yeah, it was Neff, big Neff.
It was nephew, and it's like, yeah, nah, that's like I don't think jury loses that much.
It's
at all.
fabricated.
I think.
No.
You know what it is? It's like this is what I've known to be like. This is like top tier syndrome, right?
Yeah.
When you're playing a strong character in this game, you're used to kind of just stomping everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And because you're stomping everything, you start thinking like, yes, this is normality. This is the default. This is the baseline. So the second you run into an even playing field, it's not going to look even to you because it's now not as it's more difficult than your default.
Yeah.
So you start thinking like, oh man, this can't be an easy matchup. This, when in reality, it's probably 5-5, probably slightly in your favor, but you just have to play a different way.
Yeah.
So
True.
people don't realize this was a lot of this happened back in like with Guile mains back in SF5, where they'd be like, oh yeah, that's not. You'd hear some unironically saying, yeah, that's not a good matchup. That's like 5-5. you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Imagine.
So it's like I feel like that's the same with a lot of the jury, the Ken players, when they start saying, "Oh, this matchup's bad, this matchup's bad, this matchup." They probably don't lose that matchup,
But it's
but they're
more
probably
even.
thinking like, "Yeah, it's bad."
It's
It's like me. Like I was saying this on my stream earlier. Like I can tell you right now that I don't think Luke really loses any matchups. But if you were to ask me as a player, I'd tell you that he loses to Delson.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But I lose to Delson. I hate Delson. It's not Luke. It's me. But if I was just that guy, I'd be like, I lose to Delson, 100%. It's like, no,
Yeah.
it's me that loses. So it's the same thing, top tier bias. Because I've run into one bit of adversity, I'm like, losing matchup, bro. Shit.
I mean, we had that in fight, and me and Cal have personal experience of this one. Let's just dial it back to the mayor's office a second. We used to talk about Cammy. Every single goddamn Cammy player in the world used to go 6-4 V skill 1 beat dive kick.
It's fucking stupid.
Fuck it, it
like,
was the silliest
I remember, and it still happened at the end. Like, and the only person that agreed with it was Hurricane. He was like, yeah, it's an even matchup. I can see it. But every other Cammy in the world were like, bro,
I can't jump a
you
dive
stole
kick.
my dive kick. And I'm like, I take the same grey life that you do for fucking the damage I do.
It's actually so funny because it's like a lot bit. But another thing of top tier syndrome is like any matchup where you have to make one adaptation. Do you know what I mean? It's a hard matchup.
What do you mean I can't just do light fireball drive, bro? What the fuck?
What do you mean I gotta do something different than the base game plan? So
What's layer 2? I never heard of that shit.
What do you mean layer 2? What do you mean layer?
I don't. What the fuck's a layer?
I thought I'm just playing footsies.
Yeah, I think she's a contender for top 1, but I'm not confident enough because it's just been one tournament to go.
Yeah,
It's definitely. I need more. I need more evidence.
But there was another character that I think we put Cetia in our tier list that we made in the last episode. That Menat D used to great effect, and my opinion has definitely shifted on Blanca.
Our reasoning for it at the time was we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't have players.
Like based on paper, I don't think his buttons looked spectacular. It looked okay, and Blanca Ball's annoying. That's all we knew because that's all the evidence we've got. And then someone actually came in and went, "Look at all this shit," and we went, "Oh god, that's horrifying." And we're like, "All right, fair enough."
The thing that's kind of like making me go like, "Oh damn, he's cheap," is that jump back Blanca Ball. That move is, I think that's like one of the best defensive panic options in the entire game right now, bro. It's really good.
It's good, but if you got an anti-air normal, you can play around it. Because I've started ever since I watched CEO.
Yeah.
After I've hopped into rank, I've stopped looking at Blanca as like this meme Rago character. Started looking at him oh, okay, this is actually this is a serious matchup.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to learn this one. Because this guy's, we've definitely not seen the last of Blanca now.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, with Kimberly, she can like, a lot of the cases, she can like, sometimes I've started to anticipate it more when I'm going for throws. So I'll start throwing at Crouch Fierce. And then you get the knockdown. You get the knock. And then you can get the combo. And like Crouch Fierce in general is just like turning out to be like a very versatile button. So for any other characters, if you have a good anti-air normal, I'd experiment with that and see where that comes in the matchup. Because it's definitely doable, but it's weird, right? Because now I'm actually enjoying fighting Blanca, and it feels like real. He feels solid. Like I feel like if you gave those tools into another character, you wouldn't think this is just some Rago, tomfoolery, knowledge reaction check character. You'd think that's a very legit character. So I think they made him serious now.
I think the only thing that obviously the jump back Blanca Ball thing annoys me, but in terms of him having like solid buttons, solid anti-airs, like actual solid tools, I'm like, great. That's nice, fine by me. I think that I get annoyed because I can't find a consistent answer for Blanca Ball, like heavy punch Blanca Ball. Especially for Luke, I cannot make the late like drive impact work consistently. It's too late.
It's very hard.
It whiffs, and early, obviously, you just lose. So that does kind of annoy me because it's just janky, and I feel like if you've given him all this solid stuff, why also make him janky as well? It's like, just make him a bit more solid, man. But yeah, I obviously clearly underestimated how good this fucking character is.
I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more Blanca. I think we might see some players pick Blanca up as like a pocket, because I feel like he's got to be decent into some characters that are going to be prevalent in the meta as well. He seems like it could be one of the star picks as like an anti-meta pick.
Bro, if he ends up beating Chun, man, I'll pick that shit up tonight, bro. Catch me in the lab.
Who was actually the Chun player in the top 24? Does anyone know them by name?
It was Terrence.
Terrence. Oh, I remember Terrence. Okay. Yeah. He was a Legacy 5 and I think 4 player as well.
But, yeah, it was good.
Me and Sully were actually talking about Chun a little bit earlier. I might as well just touch on this for a second, bro. My opinion of Chun, I think we put her like just outside top 5 in our tier list last week. I still think Chun is absolutely bonkers and could be in the top 5. Yep. She's insane in this game, and she doesn't even have things that I'd consider like a meta. She doesn't have a meatless throw loop. She doesn't even have a DR throw loop. But even without that, she feels so oppressive in this game, and like it feels very difficult to turn Chun's game plan off of like I'm gonna walk back, Kokoken, DR in, hold it. I feel like she can get that off so easily.
The slow fireball into drive rush is
mental.
A very underrated, ridiculously strong fucking thing. That
really
not a lot of people are talking about until Jury's doing it in this event. But Chun can do it.
Yeah, Chun
as well, and it's really fucking annoying. Like there's that, but also I really feel like a lot of Chun players underestimate some of her other tools. Like her having the down DP kick thing.
That's very good.
Great. It's great for you want to answer Honda Blanca Ball. It's really good. And the other thing as well is there's some conversions that she gets. That I was watching Pax show some stuff off. It looks mental.
So yeah, like I was my view on this is also a bit biased, but I think it's in line with your guys. But like me uniquely, I'm having a lot of trouble fighting Chun-Li. I was playing like this player called Hamoud. He's from the UAE. Yeah. He invited me to a set. Connection 2 bars, 140 ping, but it was really good. It was very playable. and he smoked me 10-4. And then I ran into Leaf, another French Chun who beat me 2-1 in rank. And then I invited Battlemaster for like a lounge, and I played him as well. So I've been going at this matchup quite with a fine tooth comb today.
Yeah.
And I find it very difficult playing that as Kimberly, because I've noticed that obviously there's the stuff that you guys mentioned, but what makes her neutral, why I find her neutral to be so strong is her jab into stand back medium punch.
It's horrible.
It's the flipping. Do you know what I mean? That shit. Like, that is so, like. And she can get counter hit jab into low forward, and she's got the dreaded low forward into drive rush as well.
She does.
Like, there's no way this character could be bad. She's a very strong character, and I can't find myself getting into any sort of space where she's not favourable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, Chun is like insanely strong in this game. I think she'll only get better as time goes on. I don't think they'll put the hammer on her like they did in season 1.
The thing about Chun is, like, I remember when this game first came out, a lot of people were going, "Oh, Chun players finally can't be carried by just whiffing stand heavy kick. Finally, a real Chun-Li." And I feel like that, you know that Arsenal TV meme where he's going, "He's done it again!" I feel like they figured it away, bro. They figured it away. I don't feel like she changes her game plan approach too much, because every Chun I've played is very much like what Sully said. It's like, throw that button out. And if it's not that, it's Kokoken and then either dash or DR behind it. And like, I don't feel like she needs to do much more than that, and she can play super safe the rest of the time. Like, yeah, sure, it's not whiffing stand heavy king, stand heavy punch anymore, but now you've got to constantly hold pressure, because if you block one Kokoken, it could be like, say, you're at least getting thrown, or you got to take a low high. I don't know, man. She just feels very oppressive in this game.
She's in control of the matchup a lot of the time, and it's like she doesn't really risk anything. So like, even when she's like she can lock you down with just jabs and medium punches.
Yeah, exactly.
But because the nature of those buttons is that they're not really that committal and hard to whiff punish, like, if you try and like, you can never really shifted her focus to the ground game, because it's just so easy for her.
Yeah.
So once you shift, because usually with characters, right, if you got them focusing too hard on the ground, saying, "No, you need to like space yourself properly and like engage with my buttons properly," that usually is what opens people up to you getting a dash in on them, or a jump in to kind of break their flow.
Yeah.
But with Chun, she can do that so easily, and her anti-airs are solid. Like, she's even got like stand heavy kick, and there's the other stand heavy kick that she gets a juggle off of.
Yeah, that one's good.
Like, she's constantly just walking you down and having all bases covered. So she's a really hard. She's a wall, and it's just like only a matter of time before she like closes in on you. And that's how I feel the Chun matchup goes.
When I look at characters like Guile, Chun, and Jury, I feel like, you know what, we're on line 1 right now. Everyone's going like, raw drive rush is very powerful. It's very silly. It needs nerfing. And I'm thinking of a timeline right now, because if you remember, when we looked back to season 1, we were like, damn, like Cammy was busted in season 1. But back in that time, everyone was like, you know, it's Nash, it's Mika, it's Chun. And I feel like we're looking at this case of raw DR is very powerful, but I feel like there's that layer 2, or maybe like that layer deeper in, where it's like slow projectile DR is so much harder to deal with, because the perfect parry is like, you basically only answer unless you have like a unique bypass, which not every character has. Slow projectile DR is so crazy strong in this game, and I think there are 4 characters that possess it. DJ does it, but he has to do EX, and then you've got Chun, Guile, and Jury. I think that is like the premium fuck neutral tool in this game, like completely.
It's like, oh, you blocked a fireball. Oh, sucks to be you, dog.
What's annoying as well is the answers that you can come up with for that specific situation are not good. They're not good.
No.
If you've got an EXTP, we were talking about it when we streamed earlier. That is an option. You could try an EXTP, the approach, but even still, it's like, well, it still carries some risk, and at the same time, if you don't have an EXTP, you just that's you. You're like, all right, cool. Dealing with this then. Yeah, for once, I feel sorry for Kimberly players.
I remember, I came into the voice call, and I was watching Sully Lab, and Sully was looking at Tiger Knee Tatsus to get over that goddamn fireball, bro. That's how long it was for him. Tiger Knee Tatsu.
Maybe if I get it, I get to this right spacing.
Maybe I can do it, yeah. No,
maybe I'm allowed to play. But I mean, it's a tough matchup. But I feel like it's one of those by design tough matchups. It makes sense. It stands to reason that the rushdown character would lose to like the general defensive all rounder type character. So I'm making a peace with that. Just it's hard to figure out the game plan for.
For me, the thing that annoys me is you're not losing because he's the defensive character. You're losing because he's going in on you, and you're like, wait a minute, like, wait, hold on, like.
You're literally.
And just touch on results as well. Just for the top eight, I actually want to bring this up because this is their first. It was a super major. There were 1,000 players. That was massive. It was about the size of it, like your standard Evo would be for like late game Street Fighter 5. The names
About half the size, I'd say. Like, you know, there's 1,000. I think the smallest Evo was probably like 2,000 or so.
It's pretty. 1,000's massive though.
It's massive. It's a big
major.
premiere. Yeah.
Very big. Yeah. And this is the results from all the way to top 16, and I'm actually really surprised that the consistency between players like Mena RD, Punk, and Idom, we saw them all in the top 8. First major, 1,000 players. Doing this is extremely difficult, and I very much expected the levels to shake up in the first few weeks of Street Fighter 6, right? So... Very much, I feel like there is a level of consistency that you can have in this game. Like, I don't think it's completely like, oh, all my legacy skill from 5 has been blown away, because you still see players that were gassed in 5, gassing up in 6 as well. We had... go on.
Yeah, I'm saying, selfishly, we were literally just talking about when the stream came on that I've been sort of struggling with this game, but we had a sort of community realization, as it were, that my style is very applicable in parts of the game, not the game itself. So I have a feeling that a lot of these guys, maybe they've just got more experience in other titles, but they must have realized this early, because some of them were playing quite patient, and then they would just go fucking ham, and you were like, oh shit. And they've managed to find that balance. Like, Mena's very, very good at that, evidently.
Definitely.
And he had that perfect balance, and he was smoking everybody. So there's stuff that's carried over for sure, 100%.
It's one of those... Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, so it's wild as well, because we're talking about consistency. Like, usually the first major of a new Street Fighter, it's like anybody's game.
Yeah.
We don't know who could win. I have never known the winner of like the big tournament, so the Evo champ or the Capcom Cup champ, to win the first tournament of the next season. Never mind next game.
Mad.
So like after like Mena RD's performance, and he was like the only guy to figure out how sick Blanca was as well.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, Mena might just be one of the goats now. Like
It must be.
I used to like not give him like fully that stats, because I was thinking like, he just did well in his region, then won Capcom Cup. Same with Idom. I don't consider Idom to be that crazy unbeatable guy. But I think after this is like, don't get me wrong, like in terms of just straight big tournaments, that's 2 back-to-back Mena RD has won.
And I think
all extremely high stakes.
And I think it just came off the back of a big online tournament as well, 4-6, which had a big bracket. And I think the finals was against Idom, I think. And he won that too, so he's on a winning streak. And I actually want to bring up a secondary thing here, which someone else brought up on Twitter, that's being reminded of. DR kind of carries NA on its back, bro. Like, hard right now.
I was going to say, I mean, with the exception of, again, maybe a Nephew and Punk right now, DR kind of...
They gap everyone, bro.
Kind of winning everything.
I need to know what training regime Menet is on, because he has been... that second Capcom Cup win like cemented him as like pretty much the GOAT of V, I think. He had the best come-up story, stayed consistent, won the last one, and then, like, again, as we said, to come and win the first Super Major of 6 is like, bro... Man is living a fairy tale. I can't lie.
There's a part of my heart that I still can't replace anyone that's Tokido. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there's a very, very real argument for that, because you can't deny it. Because when we talked about this before a while ago, I denied him. I was like, nah, you know, he did all right 1 year and that was it. Yeah. But you can't fault the guy. He's come back straight away.
Mm-hmm.
And
for sure.
Speaking of Tokido as well, I don't have any graphics for this because the kind of presentation and the way this was broadcast is kind of hard to find. I think there was a YouTube stream for it. There was an Olympics event last weekend.
These low-key tournaments.
Very low-key.
Yeah. So it's not that low-key because it's on the official Olympics YouTube channel, right?
It was Mansblade, bro.
So there was Tokido. There was 4 Phils, our UK representative.
Yes.
Kusanagi was there, I think.
Kusanagi was there. And there was another guy, I forgot the name. It was like Mind something. No one knew about this. No one was promoting it.
No.
And Fort Phil's, did alright. He beat Tokido 2-0.
2-0 to Kido, yeah.
He lost to some other. I don't know the name of the guy he lost to. And it's so weird that this is happening on the official Olympics chat, and there's been no chat about it. Nothing.
Like in chat, were you guys aware that there was an Olympic Street Fighter 6 event last weekend? Like, raise your hand if you knew, because I had no idea until Phil's just tweeted out, "Oh, just beat Takedo, guys." I was like, "Huh? Where are you?"
I didn't even know that. We finished CTO, and I went to bed, and then woke up, and there was just this post from him being like, "Watch the VOD." I was like, "Of what?"
Yeah, like, where
and
is
it was
it?
the fucking Olympics. I was like, wait, what?
It was just not on my timeline. I don't understand, bro. The Olympic, again, people have said that the Olympics is it's ran by ancient people, so I kind of get the fact that it's not broadcast to people in like a modern way.
This? Electronic sports.
Yeah, but it's the most high functioning event, bro. They get flown out to the maddest venues to play. It's like you can't just promote this a little bit online. It's mad.
Don't reach out to the community. And Forfils has like an eye for these low key events. This is not the first one.
No, he's been to loads of it. He's like the chosen Great Britain athlete for fighting games.
And dude, he got chosen at a time where he was one of the GOAT. UK's best, top 2 minimum UK's best player. But it was so weird. You see it. There was an image of him flown to Istanbul for a big major, and there was no one heard about this.
He's sipping a 5-star meal, but all expenses paid. I'm loving life.
You know what though? I remember playing the Olympic qualifier in Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. Against
Phil's, and I got either second or third. I don't remember. I think I got third and Shax got second. I think that's what happened. But no one knew about it at all. I only heard about it through them. They were talking about it, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'll sign up." And there was 8 people.
I think that's what the Olympics.
I was like, "Holy shit!"
But the bracket, I remember I was in it. I was streaming it to Sully and everyone as I was playing in it, and the bracket was weirdly small, man. The only players I remember being big in there were Infectious and Problem, and I think the top 3 was Infectious, Problem, me, and Shaquille, and that was it. The bracket apart from that was dead, bro. Intel Olympic stuff, and I don't know if Intel's still working alongside them for the Olympics things, but. Bro, they are so bad at what they're doing. It's crazy.
I got into that Intel Olympics. Do you remember?
Yeah, you got into it. Yeah.
I got into it. I actually qualified for that alongside. It was me,
Shaquille, right?
Shaquille, Problem, and Infectious. I think it was. And it was just the 4 of us. And then it was they were doing all these they had this mental broadcast where F-Word was on the smart screen, drawing circles and shit, and being look at the position he's in here. This is optimal spacing for Cody. And I was like, this is the most high production value shit, and no one knows anything that's going on. No one knows this is here. It's crazy.
But yes, so yeah, there were 2 events this weekend, guys.
Yeah, sorry
to cap that one off. But yeah, it's mad. In the top 8 though, most of these names we know of. I don't know if Cal knows him, but I wanted to bring up just Sticky Fingers because. Do you remember him? He was a Cody in 5. Remember from Florida? Sticky Fingers?
Fuck yes, I do. I actually do. Because I was looking at him in the bracket and I was like, don't think I know him. And then I checked and he actually follows me on Twitter. And I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. And he's a Cody player from Florida.
He's a good lad. He did really well. And I remember, I wasn't watching all of it, but he smoked IDOM, or he was at least 2-0 up on IDOM. I think IDOM picked Jury as well for some reason, which made 7 juries in the top 8.
I'm not sure if you remember, but IDOM actually posted about that, saying, yeah, so I picked Jury because I wanted to find out how he could handle a Jury matchup. And I'm there's casuals for that.
In it,
not flipping top
8, man.
Well, it's because according to Shivs, I've spoke to Shivs about it, and I don't think Manon's not good. So he obviously picked what he thought was the best character. Just not play Jury, and it's really.
I also there's a thing, bro. I don't think Manon is good, but I don't think you can't win with her. You know what I mean? If you were good at Manon, you can very obviously do well in the tournament. Sticky Fingers.
But it's the same problem with Laura. Laura was never. She was at one point, but she was in the final season where IDOM was winning a shit ton. Yeah, she wasn't considered a top tier at all. Mm-hmm. But she was good enough that you could win if you were that cracked, and that's what he was.
I think Manon's in the same place as Kimberly, where she's not good, but she's good at what she's supposed to be good at.
Yeah.
And that thing she's supposed to be good at can win you a lot of games.
Yeah.
Way more than what you need.
there's no way a character that can deal 40% of your health on a command grab is bad, okay? Like, let's put this one to rest. But at the same time, she's a bit more niche in it. She's very good at the one thing she does, and because of that, she's gonna have a couple more bad matchups. Like the same thing as Kimberly. Like, I'm very good at rushdown, but if you can keep me out, it's a little bit long for me.
Yeah. It's like, because here's the thing, everyone's like, oh yeah, but her buttons are minus. I'm like, have you seen her buttons?
Her buttons are godlike. Her buttons are so good.
like, just because they're not puzzle, but does not mean they will not own your life.
I can't push her, what do I do?
You can't, like, those buttons are built to harass and, like, lock you down from weird distances, and it's so confusing, man. Yeah. Like, Manon is good, bro. Like, not being top 4 does not mean your character is bad in this game.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. I think everyone, literally every single character, Jamie included, and I feel like Jamie is most people's de facto bottom 1. Even Jamie is really fucking good when he has a good round. Like, every character in this game is, like, no questions asked, scary, and I feel like, early days, every character could probably win a tournament right now. I genuinely feel like when every character's having a good round, they are so scary. The damage in this game is so high, and the game feels very volatile with the amount of damage that you have. That, like, like in 5, right? When you were a bad character in 5, I'm just gonna mention him, Gil. 90% of the roster could shut you down for doing a fireball. He sucked. He was awful. Nobody in 6 can do that, right? Like, there is no character where it's like, oh, I literally can't fireball anymore. Like, you can always play your game, rush down, zoner, mid range. I never feel like you turned off. Do you know what I mean? You can always at least like perform your function a little bit.
Yeah. That was the problem with 5. It felt like such a really well balanced game, but then you realize that like there was a couple of characters. I mean, like Cody Gill was like a laugh. It was an absolute joke.
It's so bad.
If you were, I felt so bad every single time I was in the loading screen because I stopped caring about points in ranked, and I'd load up and I'd be like, bro, I just feel bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to take, like, you're trying to grind to get the Grandmaster or some shit. And I'm sitting here going, like, sorry, it's a 7-3. Like, but there's none of those in this game.
I don't think so either. I think, like, I can only speak for, like, Kimberly's perspective, but I only feel like the worst match of all, like, 6-4.
Yeah, it's like 6-4. And even Quiggy, resident friend of the show, says that a legacy matchup of like it can sometimes feel like an 8-2 Dalsim Geef is not that bad in this game because Geef has options against Dalsim.
All I can say is off that level 1 super, man. It's objectively the worst super in the game. I don't care what anyone says.
That level 1 super.
I agree. I think that's super. Yes.
Yeah.
It's literally red my like Quiggy himself has a red my neutral jump and it just went past me.
That happened to me. I was playing a set with Problem and he like called out my neutral jump and then he just and I got the punish and won the set for it and I'm like, that's Geef, baby.
So I'm gonna pose us a question because I've just looked at the time. So I'll pose us a question that I set up for the last half of the show. And I think we might have already gone over it a little bit, so this might be a little bit late, but I made the graphic for it, so I'm putting it on the goddamn stream. Bam. Yeah. The jury dilemma, right? Do you guys think that the top tiers in this game will require swift action to be addressed to them the further we get into the game? So like, at the moment, what are your thoughts? It's like, do you really think these characters need to be toned down? Let's imagine season 2 is on the way, right? Would you think, yeah, we need to kill Jury, we need to shoot some stuff, we need to shoot these characters?
Nah, because I don't think Jury was as bad as Season 1 Chun in SF5. And here's another thing. I think everyone's, like, hyper-focusing. I think instead of, like, Jury, they're focusing on Drive Rush, innit? And I feel like only Drive Rush needs to be, like, tweaked a wee bit. I don't want to tweak it too much. But, like, something about making the hurt box bigger and putting in punish counter, I think that's enough. And then we can just, like, tweak everything bit by bit for the next patch. I don't look at any of these characters and think, like, this needs a huge overhaul. This is clearly not what meant.
Outside of the drive rush change, because I agree with that, because I was talking about like potential drive rush changes, because I mean if it's me I would just fucking nuke the thing, but it's in the favor of appeasing everybody that you know because it's cool for combos, and I'm not a guy that cares that much about it, but people love that shit. So in the interest of that, I was discussing what ideas to nerf it, and that's a great one, to be honest with you. So keep that, like that's the idea. But for Jury, for Ken, and especially Luke, like all of them, right? Crouch medium kick into drive rush. Something needs to change with that shit.
Something's gotta go.
Do you know how many fucking rounds I've won by mistake? I went, I'll just do crouch medium kick into drive rush. I just win. I'm like, oh wow, you stood up. Damn. It's like I have sweep V trigger on deck every single time I've got it, and that's too much. It needs to go. Or something needs to change.
I agree.
I hard agree. I think that's exactly what I've definitely used that wording before. It's like the sweep V trigger of the game. It's such a quick momentum shift. It locks people down, especially when they got offense on you. The second their offense ends, like they're still in range. So it's like, like Chun has it, Cammy has it, everyone. I think that needs to get like, there needs to be, if once you do sweep into drive, if you don't hit, like it should be minus or at least zero minus. That I can trade. Do you know what I mean? Like it's too strong of a tool.
It feels like, because in every Street Fighter we've had something similar to this, because Street Fighter 4, I'm old, okay, leave me alone. Street Fighter 4, DPFADC was plus on block for 6 years, I think, and we all hated that shit, bro, and they finally took it out in the last version, and in Street Fighter 5, that changed from DPFADC to like, oh, I have this like full screen traversal into a plus frame, like G, like low dash punch V trigger cancel, like that was like the prime, oh fuck you dickhead move. And then in Street Fighter 6, now we've got low forward drive rush cancel, and then we've got this new thing where it's like, well, if you don't have that, it feels a little bit like you aren't as powerful in the mid range because you can't kill me for walking back like the other guys can. I feel like this is it's got to be shot right by next season. There's no way, right, Capcom? Capcom?
I just sort of hope that, like, because crouch medium kick on drive into drive rush, like, it's so strong on hit, obviously, like, you still get ridiculous damage, ridiculous corner carry, plus the throw loop situation. You're like, fucking hell, right? But the other thing that annoys me is how plus it is on. Like,
it's still like plus 4, plus 6. I think it varies depending on characters. Some get plus 8.
Yeah, you're getting a situation for just doing a thing, and you're like, it's such a powerful thing. You're like, holy shit.
The risk reward for it is definitely skewed, but at least you can EXDP. Oh wait, characters like me have to hold that shit, bro. Oh man, it's definitely, that's one of the things, because when we talk about drive rush as a general thing, like if you make it punish counter and like increase heart box, that now you've balanced the risk reward, right? Because it's like now, because then it'll feel more like a drive impact, innit? Because if someone drive rushes on you, I'm like, fair enough. If I was ready for it, I could have killed them for that shit, right? But low forward into drive rush, it's like, no, I was in footsie range. How dare I approach this character in such a way?
Yeah. Because I think what gets me about it is I'm happy for drive rush to be a combo extender and to be used for these creative combos and setups and stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But as a neutral skip, there's gotta be something else there. Because I don't mind it if I don't check it. I don't check it. Legitimately, I'm like, okay, fair enough. But it's so fucking difficult. Make it a little bit easier, and I'm like, all right, fine. You don't need to hurt the cost. You don't need to make it so bad that it's not usable. Just make it a bit easier, man, and we're good.
It's very topsy-turvy right now because like jabs aren't a good check, but they're fastest button. Mids feel better, and fierces, because Sully put a tweet out today saying like, yeah, check a DR with stand fierce because it's bigger, it's got more active, so you got a better chance of tagging them as they're flying towards your face.
It's because I was fighting this one jury player on ranked, and they were very much using drive rush into neutral as like that was the tool, and I tried checking with the crouch medium punch, but I would do it too early, and then I would get punish carried for it. So I'm like, okay, I just need to use fierce because this is what's my timing is fucked up for that. So I need to use the big boy button. And it ended up winning. Like it ended up helping me with that particular jury matchup.
Yeah, I
think other juries are a bit more smarter with it and wouldn't really be throwing out as much. But that's what I mean. I feel like drive rush. I feel like if it's checkable 2 out of the 3 times, I think that's fine. I feel like I can make peace with the fact that there are some situations where I'm just not checking it. I feel like I feel like it's being used the same way regular dashes are used in Street Fighter 5. Except you're not as plus, obviously. But I'm okay with their place in the game. Obviously, just make it a bit more rewarding to check.
Yeah, a bit more easy.
Yeah,
there's a secondary layer though that I'm because we all responded, I think, to Pax's tweet where he said like, "What do we do to drive rush?" Cal, I think, responded to it. I responded to it. I think we all had like a little bit of a take.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I think I didn't just respond to it directly, but I made a tweet about it.
Yeah.
Talking about like maybe the screen freeze or something.
The screen freeze, yeah. This is what I wanted to bring up because, again, I'm looking more towards like the deeper layers here. Like, okay, let's say we nerf this on the layer 1 basis. What happens layer 2? What becomes broken on layer 2? Drive Rush eats inputs. This is a very common thing that a lot of people are talking about right now.
Yeah.
But again, slow projectile into DR, because the only response to like the surefire way to beat this is to perfect parry and press the button as they're coming in at you. The screen freeze fucks up your perfect parry so often. I don't know if either of you have had this experience yet, but it's so fucking hard to perfect parry a projectile when Chun's about to do a DR. And if you mess that DR up, you've got to hold it now because you're in parry, so you can't like cancel out of it into a jump fast enough. Like, it messes the whole thing up, man. So I would really like Capcom to find a way to address the screen freeze eating your inputs, because I was playing Deviants right before this set, and he did a drive rush, and I pressed like up forward, I think, to try and avoid it. Got eaten, and I got hit low, and I was like, I jumped, bro, please.
Bro, that drive rush going up to your inputs, be like,
Because I don't know what they could do. Because I was talking about the screen freeze being a bit longer, and I don't know what that. Someone actually was Rast made a really good point. This is not about the projectile stuff, but it actually said that it'd make things easier to check, and it actually the second layer of that is you might actually get some unique shit for charge characters.
Oh yeah, you would.
Might be able to charge for longer, so you'd be able to like drive rush, charge, dash into a normal one, and like a charge move.
Yeah.
And there would be some unique stuff you could do with that, and I was like, it's true. So it might be cool, but I don't fucking know. I'm not a balance designer. Last time you asked me for balance changes, everyone slated me, so I'm not making any changes, man. I was like, fuck Raging Demon. You were like, you're insane. And I was like, all right, fine. I'm not making any more changes.
Yeah, no. What I'm trying to think when it comes to the like that DR, because part of me thinks like, oh yeah, but like the DR into eating inputs, that is a bit of a cheeky little mind game that could be in there by design. But then I'm starting to think about like, yeah, but then there's literally no counterplay to flipping
Second mind game, bro. I can't do anything.
Slow firewall. Ah, yes, mind game. What is checkmate every time?
Yeah, literally.
It's a bit mad. Yeah, no, I think they'll probably do something about that. Hopefully they'll hotfix it. But I'm just picturing in my head like that Capcom blue background text where it just says, "Yeah, hold that shit."
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of like screen freeze eating inputs, and just talking about inputs in general as well, Twitter has very recently been talking about the input shortcuts in this game causing problems. Have either of you found any problems yet with shortcuts affecting like your accuracy of your input? Have you been getting like super?
Nah, because my execution's clean, bro. No.
True.
No. It's just not really. I do. I'm trying to think.
I'm the opposite extreme, bro. My execution's so sloppy, I haven't noticed any difference. I'm like, I'm just dropping shit. That's normal.
but that's what I mean. Like, that's when I drop shit, I'm just like, yeah, fucked it. Probably didn't do it right. You know what I mean? Every time where I'd be like, oh no, I definitely did it, but the game must have fucked up. I'm kind of just like, that's I just tell myself that's salt talking. Yeah. I might be gaslighting myself, but to me, honestly, right, if you drop a combo and then you go, no, the game must have ate the input, and then you go and check, even if the game ate your input, you're a wanker for checking it. It's like God forbid you drop a combo, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
did you need the evidence, bro? Did you really need it?
All right, DSP. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, that's such hard to cope, bro. Just be like, I dropped the combo and move on.
That's it, man. I mean, sometimes I've seen some legitimate ones where inputs are getting overrided, and there's like lab evidence of inputs being overrided. And that's legitimate, I suppose. Like if you're trying to do like a quarter circle, a half circle, and for some reason it reads it as a quarter circle or some shit, you're like, all right, that's a bit weird. But in terms of like from my personal experience, the only situations I've actually had that have been problematic have been related to the PS5 pad, not the game.
Ah, right.
Because I keep getting no diagonals, and then I do a super, and I've done quarter circle forward and then down forward, and then I get nothing, and I'm like, oh shit.
You know, now you mention it, right? Yeah. I remember Automatic posting a clip that if you hit the parry button, like not even just the input, the button, but they drive rush at the same time, parry doesn't come out. And I think to avoid using my scrub brain, I feel like that's happened to me sometimes when I'm fighting Marissa, where they're doing a block swing and then do drive rush. I feel myself holding the parry button. and then I fucking get hit. So you can't hold it in. But what I started doing is I just started doing it a bit later, and then I was like, all right, Bob's your uncle. You know what I mean? Back to normal, lads. But I feel like that's one thing. Yeah. But that's definitely. I feel like that's maybe the only thing I may have experienced. I didn't bother checking because I'm not a wanker in it.
Yeah,
but, you know what I mean. But
I've not watched any replays.
not a single replay. I did not reevaluate anything about my options.
Every decision I've made, I respect.
I was
don't regret
calling.
any of them.
I was calling like I was going. I'm a scrub in it. I was like my inputs must not be clean enough. That's why I keep getting this level 1 super when I'm trying to do Superman punches, Marissa. And then I got the backing that I needed because I saw Big Bird tweet
backing.
the fact that he went, is anyone else getting level 1 doing Superman? And I was like, hey, it must be real, bro. It's not
That's
a conspiracy.
A tweet for me.
I think someone mentioned it. There's a very, very I think 17 frames. It stores inputs for so long. So if you're doing a walk forward and then you do like, if you've just done like a down back and you do a forward input and then do a DP input, the game goes, all right, you wanted super. All right, fair play. Here it is. And you just die. It's horrible. And when in Street Fighter 5, when I used to do like fireballs from a walk forward, very common situation. Ryu, you're holding forward and you do a half. You got to do a half circle, otherwise the game thinks it's a DP. For some reason, when I do that in this game, a little bit too quick, game goes, oh, you wanted level 1? Oh, okay, there you go. Oh no, I'm dead.
No, little baby wanted level 1.
I think the actual thing I've been having trouble with, it's a bit off topic, but is wake up reversal timing.
Oh god, bro, literally, me and Sully were playing just before this, and the amount of times Sully went, that was my wake up level 3, and I was like, oh man, it happens to the best of us.
I've been trying to do it to beat, because some people do like meaty drive impact to like stun you at the wall, and I like wake up super, and I'm like, where the fuck was it? Or like I was playing Eastwood earlier, and I had 3 in a row knockdowns. I was like, I'm gonna EXDP, and I got counter hit, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna EXDP. Like, I was saying it out loud, and I got counter hit, and I was like, right, I'm gonna EXDP, and I got counter hit. I was like, for fuck's sake, like,
bro, what I've been saying every time it doesn't work out for me, I just every time I try and do it and it doesn't come out, I'm just like, I just didn't believe in it enough. I just say I didn't believe.
I'm pressing hard enough.
My chakra must have been misaligned there. Next time we'll do
You know
better.
what I'm saying?
Body and mind, like going north and south. Like,
my vibes were off. You know what I mean? My enemies were playing on my downfall. Like that's just what it was.
It's very weird because like people say like, oh, the buffer's so long, there's too much of a buffer, it's making inputs difficult. But the reversal specifically doesn't seem to share that same long buffer window. It is very tight because I've realized in Street Fighter 5, I'd be mashing that DP way before I was waking up. But in 6, I'm like, oh, I've got to fine tune this a little bit. I've actually got to press it when I'm standing up rather than as I'm getting up.
Yeah, man.
It's
6's
inputs are weird. I feel like they're going to do a patch to address, because we've got that Lily bug. I don't know if any of you guys have seen, there's a bug with Lily right now where she can do jump back condor dive. She can carry cancel into the EX version. I don't know if anyone's clocked onto that.
Oh wait, really? That's a bug?
That's a bug,
Was she not supposed to be able to do it? Because I was getting hit by one fucking Lily that was doing that, and I'm like, oh man, this is an annoying thing to deal with. But that's a bug. How do you think that's a bug?
She has to carry cancel. She can't do it regularly. If you don't do it with the carry cancel, it doesn't work. But if you carry cancel jumping heavy punch, it does work for some reason.
Okay.
It's a bug that will probably be removed. And I'm kind of hoping that when that bug, because that bug is pretty big on the public sphere now, a lot of people know about that, so I feel like they're going to address that in the next few weeks. Really hoping that they do a little input patch at the same time, make it a little bit different, because they do feel a little bit wacky right now. And so many top players have been reposting the story going, yeah, the inputs aren't right, they feel weird. I think Automatic, you mentioned it earlier, he's actually been deep diving into it. And if you want to know any more about the inputs in the game, guys, just jump over to Automatic's channel, because he's got videos explaining some of the amount of frames that things are stored and why the things are working the way they are. Much more in depth than we can tell you. And they are a little bit janky right now.
Bro, he's like a scientist when it comes to these games. Like, especially when a new character comes out, he's very good at breaking the game down to the cellular level.
Do you know what? I remember the first really big Cody document that ever came out was his. It's a Google Doc, and it was all his findings, and it was like week 1, and it was full. It was massive.
Yeah,
guy's a scientist.
He's 100% a scientist. He's really good at that stuff. So I'm trying to think, just being conscious of the time.
Yeah.
We've gone through CEO, we've gone through top 8, we've gone through just general balance and just how we're feeling with the game.
Yep.
I feel like we just go if there's anything else on your eyes, we could probably make that our last topic, and we could probably just go on to our closing thoughts after that.
I'm trying to think.
We haven't moaned about jury enough, I think. Honestly,
Yeah, more about it. Let's go. Let your nuts hang, bro. Let's talk about jury, bro.
Fucking overhead should be -7, like
Overhead.
Quiggy said, and then drive rush. Oh, I should be safe, but I should take my turn back because juries do that shit all the time, and it annoys me.
I got
Do you know what else? Do you know what I think we're missing out on as well?
Go on.
Fucking drive rush, and it's 1, 2, 3 mediums. She gets.
Yeah, she gets 3.
Fucking true.
I wanted to bring up, there is kind of like a hidden boss right now, a Street Fighter 4 campaign. Oh, you got 2 super kills, here's Akuma. If you talk about drive rush 3 times in one podcast, you got to bring up perfect parry, because my opinion on throw loops has changed quite a lot. I remember last time, and even on Twitter, I was like, they've got to go.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, like perfect parry, I feel like is driving a lot of what I hate in this game because of its plus unblock overheads, throw loops, things of that nature. I feel like they all exist because perfect parry exists, or regular parry, because it blocks both heights. Blocking both heights means that Capcom probably went, we should probably make overhead stronger, because parry beats both low and high at the same time.
Yeah.
And perfect parry on wake up meant that you need to have a throw mix up on your wake up, otherwise perfect parry is too dominant. If we want to nerf these things, we got to shoot perfect parry in the face. So we got to take it back. It's too good.
That's the problem. It goes deeper than we thought originally. Because I was the same, and I'm still of the position where I understand they're a necessary evil, but I absolutely despise throws. The worst thing ever. I can't deal with them, man. It's so boring to watch. But I understand now because I was playing Endon Walker and he was showing me stuff, and I was like, "Bro, the perfect parry is fucked up."
It fucks up.
And I was like, "I understand now. I understand." Like,
you're like that.
I still don't like them.
I get it now.
Like,
but if you were going to change throw loops, it means you have to change
you
parry.
have to nerf
You cannot
parry.
keep it.
No way. If I didn't have tick throws during my pressure, bro, I would be cooked because the amount of parry people throw out, specifically versus like Marissa as well, you need that tick throw, bro. You need it, otherwise you'll get cooked.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's
it's like I think because here's the thing, like all these things are evil, but they also keep each other in check.
Yeah, they keep each other in check.
That's the thing.
Like there's a certain beauty to that. Do you know what I mean? That's part of the reason why I like this game so much, because it's just like
I'm a humble strike, throw, return to neutral kind of guy.
Because here's the thing, like it's the kind of shit people loved about the old games, where there was like some like think of like Marvel, where there's like X Factor and shit, and that's all the busted shit that like borderline game breaking.
Yeah,
this is like the most modern version of that we're going to get, where like everyone has access to these busted ass tools, and the difference is we can play more of the cast. You know what I mean?
The thing that I love about this, closing thoughts, the thing that I love about like the mechanics in this game is that it's brought back that golden age of people having the craziest takes. Because I was in Cal's chat earlier, and there was, I know he already knows what I'm going to say, bro. There was a fella who went, "I think DI needs to be 4 bars."
Not even kidding. It wasn't joking.
I love this game, bro, because people have these opinions and say them in public. It's fantastic. It's beautiful.
Well,
it fascinates me.
It's the game itself, but also the fact that people are finding it so fun. Like I've got friends who are like Tekken heads and even like Guilty Gear heads, and they're all playing Street Fighter 6 all the time.
Yeah.
They're all constantly on it, but they bring their new like other game opinions over, and I'm like, that's fucking crazy. You just said that to me. You know what I mean? Like half the shit they say, you're like, oh my god, and they're like, no, I'm being serious, and you're like, wow, that's great.
You were raised different.
But that's how wild this game is. There's so much stuff.
He pulled his mic out.
So into passionate speech.
Look at the face, bro. It's the face of the feet. Yeah, what's good?
Let's go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I elbowed my mic and the plug came out. But that's what I'm saying. There's so much stuff to figure out. The game is so deep. Everyone's living in their own worlds, isn't it? Back in Street Fighter 5, everyone had that shit figured out, and like after 2 weeks, saying like, okay, cool, just like retrigger into sweep, and then just do your okay. Street Fighter 6, everyone was confused, man. Everyone was lost. No one knows what the
confused.
There's a part of me that when we reached the end of Street Fighter 5, I appreciated it, but at the beginning, you're like, fuck, this game's boring, and I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. For me, tell you what, my closing statement on this sort of shit is, for the most part, the statement about the drive gauge usage and the everyone's going to play so different. You're going to find 5 Lukes that all play super different because they all have different usage. Every Jury player plays the fucking same. Backdash, store, fireball, EX drive rush, drive rush, and I'm like, oh, cool, very different. Cool.
It's weird because I feel like Jury's the only character where they all play the same.
That's it. It's the only one.
I think because every JP plays differently. Everyone, every Kimberly kind of plays quite similarly as well. Actually, now that you think about it, but like I think every one character they've got their own like unique take on things. It's very whatchamacallit. There's a lot of like. There's a lot of player expression that we didn't really have much of in Street Fighter 5, so I think that's really good that they're able to do that this time.
Yeah, absolutely. For the most part, it's fine, but just that character, man. I don't think I've met a Jury that if you were to take the name off, I'd be like, oh, that's so and so. I'm just like, oh, no fucking this. I'll play the same.
Right, that's going to be closing thoughts for us. Sully, you got anything to say as well before we cap it off? Because me and Callum are around.
No, I'm good. I was just tagging along with that. I've got no closing thoughts. Head empty.
Head empty. All right, boys.
Head empty. Have fun.
That's going to be this episode for this week. We're back soon. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed CEO as well. We'll be back scheduled up. So in around 2 weeks, we'll be back.
All right. And remember to catch us on Spotify.
Catch us on Spotify, guys.
That's it.
Make sure give us a follow on that. You know what I mean? It's a good one for engagement. But
if you don't follow us on Twitter as well, we have a Twitter. Behind Sticks. We're not behind the sticks on Twitter because someone stole it. We're behind Sticks. But
behind Sticks. We behind Sticks.
We're on Twitter as well. But yeah, until next time, guys. We'll catch you later. Have a good evening. To the pip, guys. Bye. There you go. You're off.